What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my Dana White's Contender Series breakdown and predictions for Season 8, Week Number 1. We are finally back. It's been a long time waiting. Tuesdays just don't feel the same without some fights, and I'm looking forward to being back. Love doing content for Dana White's Contender Series. It is a ton of extra work, but it is definitely worth it. And yeah, looking forward for Week 1. Week 1, we are kicking it off with an absolute banger. I think this is going to be a very fun card from top to bottom. Cannot wait to break down all these fights. Before we do so, if you guys could please do me a favor, a big favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Again, a lot of work does go into this. I completely busted my ass all Sunday trying to get the graphics done. It's so much tape study for Dana White's Contender Series. I'm recording this very late at night, so if you guys could do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, be on the lookout for more content. We have UFC 305 this week. If you guys want to support me more, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. If you guys are currently a member, be on the lookout for the fighter notes, the best bet article, and the betting breakdown video. That'll be dropping on Monday night, Tuesday morning / afternoon. If you guys want to check it out, go to dfsbythenumbers.com, sign up, $10 a month. With that, you get all the Dana White's Contender Series content and then also all the UFC content as well. So yeah, a ton of content going to be on the website these next couple months with Contender Series, UFC, so on and so forth. So check it out. But yeah, I say we get into it here. We have 5 fights to talk about, and we are going to kick off the card, kick off the year with a very fun fight and a very, very, very much looking forward to it. We have Lonnie Kavanagh. He's taking on Tuan Ho, and we will start with Lonnie Kavanagh. And by the way, if I do pronounce a name wrong, throughout this entire season, I do not accept any responsibility. I blame the announcers because I go back and I listen to the announcers because that's their job, to announce the name. I listen to the announcers, I put it in, and I pronounce it how they pronounce it. So that's what I'm going with. So don't blame me. Blame the announcers for not doing their job. But yeah, Lonnie Kavanagh going against Tuan Ho. We will start with Lonnie Kavanagh, who is training at Great Britain top team. This guy's 25 years old, 5'4". He's 6-0 and obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Notable wins or losses for Kavanagh. There's not really any notable wins or losses, but he has fought in Cage Warriors his last couple fights, which is solid. Even though the Cage Warriors fighters haven't been having a ton of success in the UFC, outside of Patty, I know Jake Halley just got a win, but yeah, Cage Warriors promotion's not the worst promotion in the world, that's for sure. But yeah, 67% finish rate for Kavanagh. All of those come by knockout. He has 0 subs on his record. Some notes here I have on Kavanagh. He has really fast hands and has some power. He is composed and calculated. I love the volume that he brings to the table. He's a very high volume striker, and he has very sneaky power as well. It doesn't look like he's really landing that hard, but when he does land, he's hurting dudes, and he's extremely accurate as well. He's a very, very good striker, Kavanagh. He does throw elbows in close, which I like. He has some knees as well, and he throws hard kicks to the legs and the body, which is great. Very, very, very solid striker in Kavanagh. He can and he will go for takedowns, and I think that could potentially come in play in this matchup. He has really good elbows and ground and pound once he is on top. He looks like a really well-rounded fighter. I have seen him hurt before, but he's also pretty much hurting like every single one of his opponents, and he hasn't finished all of his fights, but at the very least, I think he's like either hurting or dropping like pretty much every single person he's fought. But yeah, I like the speed, the power, and the ability to win minutes in moments, really wherever the fight goes. On the feet, on the mat, I think Kavanagh's a pretty good, well-rounded fighter overall. As far as Tuan Ho, another guy that I'm very excited about, another young guy. This guy's only 23 years old, training out of the MMA lab. I think we have 2 guys on this card out of the MMA lab. This is the first one, Tuan Ho. He's 5'6" with a 66.5-inch reach, 6-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So no notable wins or losses either for Tuan Ho. Hasn't fought complete bums, but he has not fought the best competition in the world. This guy, Tuan Ho, has a 67% finish rate. Half of those come by knockout, 50%, and then 17% of those come by submission for an overall finish rate of 67%. So some notes I have here on Tuan Ho. He's training at a really good gym, obviously, in the MMA lab. Some really good fighters have came out of there. Sean O'Malley, Mario Batista, so on and so forth. He's elusive and very defensively sound. I think, the strike and defense really impressed me with this guy. He has solid kicks to the legs, to the body. He manages range very, very well, and he picks his spots well also. He will load up and land some very hard Shots to the head, to the body, which I like. Attacks the body well, which is good body work there. He's pretty hard to find, which is nice. Has solid power, and if he does hurt somebody, he like goes all out for the kill, which I do like to see. Yeah, I think these guys are both really good. I hate to pick against one of these guys. This is going to be an absolute war. I think it's a phenomenal way to kick off, Season 8, week number 1 of the Contender Series. I think both these guys could potentially have a future in the UFC. Ho's takedown defense is a major concern for me in this fight. I think both guys will have their moments on the feet. I just think Kavanagh will be able to mix in the takedowns throughout the fight. I also think Kavanagh has, the higher volume. I think Kavanagh has more power as well. So I'm going to take Kavanagh here to win this fight. I'm going to take him to win it by decision. I think it's going to be a war. I think it's going to be a fun fight. And again, a phenomenal way to kick off the year here for Dana White's Contender Series. So we take a look at the odds. Kavanagh is sitting as a -180 favorite, and then Antoine Ho is sitting as a +155 underdog. So for me, I like to research the fight, do all the tape, do all my notes, and then, pick the winner, then look at the odds. And then there are some odds that did surprise me in one of the fights we'll talk about. But this makes sense to me. I think Kavanagh, slight favorite, -180, -1, maybe a little bit too wide here even, but I think he just has more ways to win. So Kavanagh by decision for me. Moving on, we have another pretty solid fight here. We have Ernie Juarez going against Jose Delgado. Let's start with Ernie Juarez. He is training out of Gracie Fighter Stockton. He's 26 years old, 5'9", 8-0, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Notable wins or losses, didn't really find many for Juarez there. He has a 50% finish rate, 25% by submission, 25% by knockout, so kind of an equal opportunity finisher. Some notes I have here on Juarez: he has solid kicks to the body, to the legs, to the head. He's very aggressive. He comes forward right from the jump, which I like. I love the pressure that he brings to the table. He has some solid power in his hands, and he does his best work when he's setting the pace of the fight, just coming forward nonstop, looking to break his opponents and either get him out of there with punches or get him out of there with a submission, maybe a club and sub. He will threaten with submissions when his opponents try to take him down, but he can be taken down for sure. He seems a little bit too content to be on his back for my liking. I don't like when guys are laying on their back and throwing up submissions, losing minutes. It's just not the best strategy for winning minutes and winning fights, in my opinion. He doesn't really look to get up at all. He will hum for submissions, though, which I guess is solid, but again, you're losing minutes if you do that. If he does end up working his way back up to the feet, like, he starts to show a ton of urgency, and I like that. Like, say he's losing exchanges on the ground, he's getting controlled. If he's able to get back up, he like completely goes like berserk and tries to kind of get it back, try to win the round back, which you kind of like to see that. He will go for takedowns in his own right, and he does have really good grappling, but he can make some mistakes on the mat and lose position. His last fight was very close, in my opinion. He did a good job pressuring once the fight was on the feet. I liked what I saw, but he was taken down like 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, he was taken down a ton in that last fight, which is not the best look. So I think he's solid. Takedown defense, not the best. Get up game, not the best, but I think he's a decent fighter. As far as Jose Delgado, another MMA lab guy. This guy is training out of a really good gym MMA lab. He's 26 years old, 5'11", with a 73-inch reach. He's 7-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. No notable wins or losses for Delgado. He has a 100% finish rate, 43% of those coming by knockout, and 56% of those coming by submission. So yeah, equal opportunity finisher as well. Some notes I have here on Delgado: he's really big for the featherweight division, and he's going to have a height and reach advantage in this matchup. Again, trains at a great gym, an MMA lab. I like that. The first thing I noticed with this guy was the striking defense is not that great. He's willing to eat a shot, and then like seconds later, he was dropped hard. With that said, though, he did recover, and I think he's one of those guys that, can and will get hit clean, will get cracked, but, he's great recoverability. He's hard to get out of there, so. But he has high volume. He's a good striker and has a lot of tools on the feet. I really, really liked what I saw with the striking of this guy. I don't think he deals, the best with pressure, but, again, I really do like his striking. The striking defense worries me. The chin kind of worries me, but like I said, his recoverability, I think, is solid, and he's a very tough dude. When he starts letting his hands go, he's really fun to watch. He has a ton of power, and he's just dangerous wherever the fight goes. He will look for takedowns, and I think that will certainly come into play here. I think that's what a lot of people are thinking. He's a BJJ black belt, and a legit one at that. His control's very good once he's on top, and he's very, very dangerous once he gets fights down to the mat. When he takes guys down, they're typically staying there, which you love to see. I think this guy's really solid. Great gym, great offensive striking, love the wrestling, and love the grappling of Delgado. Final thoughts here. I like both these guys a lot, actually. I love the pressure, urgency Juarez has once the fight's on the feet, but him being so content to be on his back is going to be a serious issue in this matchup against the BJJ black belt in Delgado. I think on the feet it's going to be a really fun war, but I just think Delgado has more ways to win with the wrestling. The wrestling really impressed me. Give me Delgado to win. I think it could be a competitive decision here. I think both guys can have their moments. It's just the takedown should come, pretty easily. So we see Delgado. I think he's the biggest favorite on the card. He's sitting at minus 330 here. And the comeback on Ernie Juarez is plus 270. So those odds did surprise me a little bit because I think Juarez is good. It's just the takedown defense I think is going to give him some problems in this matchup. But yeah, give me Delgado to win this fight by decision. Moving on to the next fight, we have somebody making their return on the Contender Series, and is none other than Bruno Lopes making his big return here, and he's going against, God help me with this name, he's going against Mikheil Sazhiniani. Mikheil Sazhiniani there. I think I did halfway decent. Anyway, Bruno Lopes, training out of China team. He's 31 years old, 6'2" with a 74.5-inch reach, 12-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Notable wins or losses: he lost on the Contender Series last year to Brenson Ribeiro, and that loss is aging horribly. I think Ribeiro is like 0-3 with 3 knockout losses. But yeah, he has an 84% finish rate. Lopes, 42% by knockout, 42% by submission, equal opportunity finisher. He comes out hot, comes out with pressure. He will be wild, and he will throw punches to close the distance. He can get dragged into a slugfest, which kind of happened in the Ribeiro fight, and he's willing to stand and bang with his opponents. He does have a solid chin, although he did get knocked out. He does have a solid chin nonetheless. I do love the pressure on the feet, and he does a great work to the body, and he just has a ton of power. He was knocked out brutally by Brenson Ribeiro on the Contender Series, and he was a near minus 700 favorite in that matchup, and to be honest, he fought pretty dumb. This is a guy in Lopes who he shouldn't be losing to Brenson Ribeiro. I think he had so many ways to win that fight, like take the guy down. It's just he went out there and played Ribeiro's game, which is stand and bang until one man falls. And of course, he got caught and got knocked out, but yeah, just not the best look. It's a minus 700 favorite too, so we got to be wary of that. But Lopes is very strong in the clinch. He looks to get to his opponent's back and drag them down to the mat. He'll stick to his opponents like glue, and that's what he should have done against Ribeiro. Push him against the cage, drag him down to the mat, take him down, and he just did not do that. But yeah, he sticks to his opponents. He gives them no room to breathe. I like that. When he does get the fight down to the mat, he's very heavy on top. He has good control and good ground and pound. Has a solid submission game as well. He's finished 5 of his wins by submission. His last win came by submission. He's a BJJ black belt. He has a style that requires a ton of energy, but his cardio seems to hold up well as the fight goes on. The takedown defense looks really good as well, and if he does get taken down, he's really able to work his way right back up. So I think he's good. I think he's a good fighter. I think he's a really good fighter. It's just, getting knocked out by Ribeiro, it's obviously not the best look in the world. So he is taking on Mikheil Sazhiniani. He is training out of Spitfire Gym, Berlin. Mikheil is 27 years old, 6 foot, 13-2, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Mikheil lost to Murtaza Talha by submission in 2022. Talha fought on Contender Series, I think, last year, and Talha did lose the fight, but yeah, he lost to Talha by sub in 2022. So Mikheil has a 92% finish rate, all those coming by knockout, no subs on his record. So like I said, he was submitted in his only loss. He's been the distance once in his entire career. And yeah, I think this guy Mikheil is a very fun fighter to watch. He doesn't look all too comfortable on the feet, though, in some of his fights. Like, he'll panic wrestle. It just looks like he doesn't want to, strike with a lot of these guys, and I'm just not sure he's going to want to, strike with Lopes here. He does have some pretty heavy leg kicks, which I like. He has good pressure. He can be low volume, but when he finally decides to throw and let his hands go, he's just very reckless. He's winging big shots, and hey, that might work here against Lopes, who just got knocked out by Ribeiro not too long ago. But still, I mean, I think Lopes should be the better striker here. He has really good entries on his takedowns. He's very strong in the clinch. He'll wear on his opponents. He'll put him against the cage. He can get on top, and once he's on top, he does finish fights. I like the pressure that he brings to the table. He'll pressure his opponents against the cage and let off on big shots, and he'll knock guys out. He's knocked guys out with the pressure and landing those big shots against the cage, which is good. But this is the guy in Mikheil who just looks exhausted. He looks tired. Like early in fights, in the first round, he's taking big, giant deep breaths. It's like, I don't know what to think of this guy. But yeah, I kind of like Lopes here. I think Lopes is the better fighter for sure. Like I really think he's the better fighter. I think he has more ways to win. He's going to be the bigger fighter here. I think on the feet he's probably going to have a field day. I think if the fight hits the mat, Lopes is the better grappler. Lopes. The big thing is though, Lopes. I keep seeing things. I mean, is there a ghost in my house? I don't know if. Oh my gosh, is my house haunted? Anyway, jeez, I just keep seeing things. I'm not on drugs, by the way. Anyway, so I think Lopes is just better everywhere, but we have to remember this is a guy that dropped the ball as a minus 700 favorite against Ribeiro. So yeah, I mean, I like Lopes here. I don't know if I can trust him after what happened, but I think he breaks him. I think he breaks Mikheil here. I think he finishes him via club and sub in the second round. So give me Lopes here to bounce back. He didn't do so well in his first run on the Contender Series, but give me him to go out there and get a second round club and sub victory. And by the way, Lopes minus 190, and then Mikheil is plus 165. And it looks like that money line is closing, and money's coming in on Mikheil. So we'll see. All right, moving on to the next fight. We have another fun fight here. We have Ding Meng going against Rami Hamed. We will start with Ding Meng. Trains out of, I don't know where he's training out of, but he is training nonetheless. You got to assume. He's 29 years old, 6'2" with a 75-inch reach. He's 34-8 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Notable wins or losses. It's weird. This guy has 42 fights, and there's not really many notable wins or losses from what I can see, at least. I mean, he's not fighting the best competition at all, although he does have a million fights. But he is a finisher. 85% finish rate for Ding Meng, 79% by knockout, 6% by submission. Some notes I have on Ding Meng. Heavy leg kicks. He can be patient and low volume, especially in the first round. Like in the first round, kind of a feel-out process type vibe from the guy. But as the fight goes on, he seems to kind of pick it up. But yeah, early on, low volume. But when he does throw, he's putting everything into his strikes. He can be a little bit reckless when exchanging in the pocket. I don't love that. He's putting a lot of faith into his chin, which I do think he has a solid chin, but he has been knocked out before. I like his kicks. He's very, very good with his kicks. Very heavy leg kicks. Has a nice head kick as well, and he'll throw them a lot. He'll spam the leg kicks as well, which is good. He does start to open up more and more as the fight goes on. Like I said, the second round starts. He's being more aggressive. Third round, and so on and so forth. And when he is pressuring, I think that's when he's best. When he's pressuring, he looks really good. He looks really dangerous. I like what I see when he is pressuring and kind of putting his foot on the gas pedal. And I would like to see him do it a lot earlier in fights, but whatever he's doing, he's working, and he has 34 wins. But yeah, he's a very long-rangey striker with power. And again, when he comes forward, I think that's where he's at his best. He will go for his takedowns and get on top. Some solid control on top. The takedown defense looks solid. His ground game is actually pretty good. I liked it. He's able to get into dominant positions, and I like his ground and pound as well. The cardio checks out. He has many finishes in general, and then many finishes past the first round, which you like to see. And yeah, I think he's pretty decent. Just kind of a low level of competition, but 42 fights. It is what it is. As far as Rami Hamed, he's training out of the MMA Masters, which there are 2 fighters on this card. that are training at MMA Masters. He is one of them. He's 33 years old, 6'1" with a 71.5-inch reach. He's 12-3, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Notable wins or losses for Hamed. He did lose to Isakov by submission in 2019. Isakov did fight on the Contender Series last year. I think Isakov lost. And then he also lost to Jara Hussein Al-Sawawi by submission in 2016, who's a decent PFL fighter. So he's fought some good guys. He doesn't have a million fights like Ding Mong, but he's fought some solid guys for sure. So Hamed has a 75% finish rate. All those come by knockout, no submissions on the record. Some notes I have on Hamed: he is very kick heavy in his own right, and I mean like very, very kick heavy, as in like that's really about all he does. I mean, he throws some punches here and there, but it's the kicks that it's his go-to. His kicks are very fun to watch, and he kicks extremely hard. He will destroy his opponent's legs. He's had back-to-back leg kick knockouts, which I think is pretty awesome. He dropped this 46-year-old dude with the first leg, and that guy shouldn't have been in there, but he dropped this 46-year-old dude with the first leg kick he landed. His leg kicks are just no joke. And then he ended up making the 46-year-old dude like literally tap out. He started tapping the mat, via leg kick. I mean, I've never seen anything like it, but yeah, it just goes to show you this guy's leg kicks are brutal. When he does let his hands go, he actually has some fast hands, very accurate, doesn't have much power in them, doesn't really throw with bad intent like Ding Mong, but yeah, the hands are not bad at all as well. Takedown defense looks pretty solid. Doesn't really look for a ton of takedowns, but he will end up on top, in scrambles and whatever. And once he does end up on top, he's not bad there. His entire game plan just seems to be kicking his opponent's legs, and it works. It works well for him. And will it work in this fight? We'll have to see. But final thoughts on this matchup: I think it's a close fight to call. I think for me, this is probably, I want to say probably the closest fight on the card for me. It's a fight that I think can really go either way. Ding has more fights. He has a million fights. He just hasn't really fought anyone. Hamed has almost a third of the fights, but he's actually fought some okay competition throughout his career. I feel like Ding does a few things pretty good. Like, I feel like he's well-rounded, does some things good, but I feel like Hamed just does one thing really, really, really good, and that's the leg kicks, I think Hamed can really beat up the legs of Ding Mong here. I expect this to be a close fight. Both guys have their moments, but I'm going to take Hamed here to win this fight by decision. Beat up the legs, start letting the hands go a little bit. I think it's going to be a close fight here, but give me Rami Hamed to win this fight by decision. And it looks like Ding Mong is minus 170 on the money line. The comeback on Hamed is plus 145 there. All right. Now it is time for the main event, which I think is my second favorite fight on the card. My first favorite fight is going to be the first. My second favorite fight is probably going to be the first fight on the card, that the Kavanagh Antoine Ho fight. But my first favorite fight on the card is this fight. It is Mansur Abdul-Malik, and he is taking on Wes Schultz. So we'll start with Mansur Abdul-Malik, training out of MMA Masters. We just talked about a fighter out of MMA Masters the last fight, but yeah, MMA Masters for Malik. He's 26 years old, 6'2" with an 80-inch reach, 5-0, and obviously 5-0 in his only 5 fights. No notable wins or losses for Malik there, but this guy's a finisher, all-out finisher, 100% finish rate, all by knockout, and all in the first round. Some notes I have on Mansur Abdul-Malik. He starts hot, and he wants to close the distance pretty quickly. He has a D1 wrestling background. He's very physically strong. His wrestling's very, very good. I've seen him pick guys up and slam them, which I think is pretty cool. He wears on his opponents. He's very, very heavy once on top, and he's active at the ground and pound. He's able to get into dominant positions, and his ground and pound is just straight scary. It's ruthless. It's disgusting. His ground and pound's no joke. I thought he killed somebody with his ground and pound in his last fight. It was kind of tough to watch. His ground and pound is nothing to mess around with. He has a ton of power on the feet as well, and he just throws with very, very bad intentions. This guy Malik, he looks legit to me. He fights like he hates his opponents. He fights like his opponents took his lunch money. He seems angry in there. It seems like he's taking his anger and frustration out on the guys across from him. He looks mean. He hits so hard. I like the fact that he's training at a good gym at MMA Masters. I like the fact that he has that wrestling background. But the cardio is a question. I'm not sure what he looks like past the first round. I'm not sure what he looks like past a couple minutes. And I'm not sure that question will be answered in this fight. So, but yeah, Mansur Abdul-Malik, this guy looks like a killer to me. As far as Wes Schultz, he's training out of Pura Vida BJJ. He's 28 years old, 6'2" with a 76-inch reach, 6-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Notable wins or losses: he lost to Dylan Budka last year in LFA by decision. Dylan Budka is in the UFC. He just made his debut against Cesar Almeida, lost that fight by knockout. But Dylan Budka did get a win on Contender Series. But yeah, he lost to Dylan Budka in a decision. Kind of went back and forth where, Budka was able to take him down multiple times. But, he had some moments in that fight for sure. As far as Wes Schultz and his finishing rate, he's an 83% finish rate there, 33% by knockout, 50% by submission. Some notes I have here on Schultz. Schultz is going to be the more experienced fighter in this matchup, and he has fought the better competition. He can be taken down for sure, but he's very comfortable off his back. He's very active looking for submissions. He's been 3 rounds before, and he's going to be dangerous the entire fight with the grappling. He's going to be going for submissions really in any round. He's relentless when trying to get the fight down to the mat. And when he gets the fight down to the mat, he does have some really good ground and pound in his own right. I don't think it's, as good as Malik's ground and pound, but good ground and pound in his own right for sure. He's very calm, cool and collected on the feet, pretty kick heavy, sneaky head kick and that I've seen him land and hurt guys with. And he has some sneaky power. It doesn't look like he's landing hard, but, he is going out there and hurting guys. So, I think Wes Schultz, he's solid, decent fighter, but I don't know. Final thoughts on this matchup. Abdul-Malik, this guy looks like a killer to me. He's training at a really good gym, MMA Masters. He has that wrestling background, throws with bad intentions. We have not seen him outside of a first round. The cardio outside of a couple of minutes is yet to be seen. But I don't know if that changes here. Schultz is a solid fighter. He's been extended. He's been there. But he's a little bit too content to be on his back for my liking in this matchup. Like, he can absolutely be taken down. And there's no doubt in my mind, Mansur Abdul-Malik is going to be able to take down Wes Schultz. And then once this guy Malik's on top, like, it could be over, shortly after. Like, Wes Schultz could be in some serious trouble. Like, this ground and pound's no joke. So I'm going to take Abdul-Malik to win this fight by first round knockout. I think it's probably a TKO. If even on the feet, like, Malik can land a big shot as well. Like, this guy, he hits very hard. But yeah, I think he probably gets a takedown early on. Probably gets on top and pounds this guy out. So I'm taking Mansur Abdul-Malik to win this fight. I'm going to take him to win this fight by first round TKO. And there you guys have it. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate all the support. Like on your way out, subscribe on your way out. If you guys want to support me more, if you guys want to check out more content, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. All the UFC stuff's on there, of course, but Dana White's Contender Series, got the fighter notes, the best bet article breaking down these 5 fights, giving my best bet, the prediction, the round, the method, the best bet, the confidence rating for each and every fight, and then also the betting breakdown video where I'll go through, just talk through the fights from a betting perspective and a betting perspective only. And that'll typically drop Monday nights or Tuesdays, depending when the odds get out and all that good stuff. So, yeah, guys, best of luck. Glad to be back, and enjoy the fights on Tuesday. See you soon.